You released an episode of your wonderful podcast about May last year, and it was called 10 Things I'm Embarrassed to Tell You. And I remember reading the title and then listening, and you spoke about family and you spoke about very personal things. And you also took us behind the scenes of running your business. And we got to see that alongside success are imperfections, and once we see behind the scenes, we haven't all got it perfectly figured out. There was one particular thing you said, Amy, that just liberated me and gave me permission. I'll tell you what that is in just a moment. But I felt like there was a big shift. I could have this totally wrong. In that sort of episode was very different to the amazing instructional, educational episodes you've done in the past. Tell us, how did it come about? What, if anything, changed for you as a result of that?
Yes. Actually, I'm so glad you were bringing this up because months before that episode, I did an episode about how I was embarrassed about my weight, and that's why I didn't do video. And so I did this episode where I talked about being overweight. I've pretty much been overweight my entire life, off and on, since I was a little girl. And at the time, I've lost weight since, but that part doesn't matter. At the time, I wasn't doing it because I was on a weight loss path. I did it to say, I want to be very honest with you all about something because I'm here to teach you and guide you, but I have a dirty little secret. And that is, every time I get on video, I cringe. I hate to see myself, and I feel very self-conscious about the weight. And so the episode was 9 minutes long. I couldn't even talk about it more than that. And I shared about my emotional eating and how a day after my son's birthday, I ate all his cupcakes when he was at school because I had had a bad day, and he came home from school like, where are my cupcakes? And I had eaten them. Like, shameful stuff in my world. And so I did that episode, and I had no plan to lose weight. I just wanted to say it. And then the months went by, and I did that episode you talked about there. And the reason I did the episode you talked about there is because of the connection and how much my episode resonated about weight loss. It's crazy that I'll go to a live event and people will walk up to me, primarily women, and they'll say, I love your podcast. And I'm thinking they're going to say they love my episode about list building or course creation or webinars. And they'll say, my favorite episode is the one about your weight loss struggle. Or my favorite episode is the 10 things you shared about being embarrassed. And the fact that you said you were embarrassed about aging on camera and you don't love that. That's what resonated with me. And I thought, okay, this actually is something I need to do more. I've got to get more honest and open. And in the beginning, I will tell you it was never comfortable for me. It's getting easier. But in the beginning, I almost thought I was playing a role of being vulnerable or authentic because I didn't know what it even felt like. But over time, I was able to ease into it. Now I feel as though it is 100% very easy to share that stuff.
Oh my gosh, I just love this conversation. And I want to back up and close that loop for you about earlier, that episode, because I loved all the personal insights, but there was one piece where you talked about how you don't write all your own copy. And I don't write all my own copy, but I always felt like such a fraud. It's like, how can I have people look up to me as a business leader, as someone who's teaching them how to grow and scale a business when I can't even write my own marketing emails all the time?
Right?
And so I had suddenly this permission to go, oh, you know what? It's okay. I can breathe.
Yeah, I think if we start being honest about what our lives look like as women, and I know men too, but I think it's extra sensitive for women that if we start being honest about it, we can then give permission to other women to really settle into whatever decisions they're making. My favorite book is Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes, and she talks about admitting she has a nanny. And she says, not enough women do not admit that they have help, because the women that don't have help, they need to know that we're not doing this alone. So if you're struggling with a woman that's raising children and doesn't have help, you should be struggling. That is a hard job. Yeah. I have help. But she said, we don't talk about it enough. And so I feel like we're doing a disservice to each other by not talking about the stuff that we might feel a little embarrassed about or shameful or uncomfortable. I think it needs to come to the surface.